Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Sports Hub podcast. For those who watched last week's episode, you would have seen, thank you for the interpretation. Interpretation is the best compliment one can get. But yes, for those who watched last week's episode, you would have seen that Martin introduced us all to you in a way which just cannot be described as complimentary. This week, I'm going to just go around the group quickly and tell you all what I like about each person, just so that you get to find us or get to know more about us. So I'm just going to go in alphabetical order. So I'm going to start with Bob. Bob, he owns his own business, which is very successful, and he has great dedication and commitment to it. I just wish that he had the same dedication and commitment to the podcast. But Bob is also a very honest man. He, like in the first episodes, it just always comes back to me when he admitted that his club, Rangers Football Club, are a new club. Thank you for the honesty.
I think it was, yeah.
Next to,
I'm not quite an admission, but okay.
Next is Bruce. Bruce and I have known each other for a good while now, and our friendship flourishes despite having opposite views on everything. I'm a Celtic fan, he's a Rangers fan. I am a Tory, he's SNP. But despite that, our friendship flourishes. And I actually enjoy that Bruce is opposite of everything that I am, because it reaffirms to me that my views are correct. Gavin, brother of Bruce, Gavin and I played in the pipe band together. Gavin played the drums, I played the bagpipes, and we toured Scotland doing that. And I'm just thankful to you, Gavin, for that, because you helped cover my early E's. And for those not aware of bagpipe terminology, an early E is not what you think it is. Martin, we've not actually met in person that much, and we actually get on very well, which just shows how strong our personalities match. But I do remember the first time that we met each other. It was actually when I shaved my legs. And yeah, I've never took so much care and attention about my appearance before meeting anyone before. So I hope you do appreciate that, Martin.
Indubitably.
Mitchell, we go way back. We played table tennis, football, badminton together. But the thing that has tied our friendship together is our comradeship and our solidarity in the single market. We have been in the single market for so long. I think the only way that we can describe our friendship is that you're my Angela Merkel to my Emmanuel Macron. And then,
at least we think along the same line.
And then there's Shahan. So the first topic of the Sports Hub podcast this week is about the dark arts in sport and the line between pushing the rules to the maximum and cheating. So going to our defense of the dark arts, Professor Quirrell, Martin, I'm going to let him take over.
Right, so I'm very intrigued with this because you had Phil Foden last week, didn't go down in a tackle and the penalty wasn't given, and all that was said by the comments from the pundits was should have went down. First of all, I'll start with that. If he had intentionally went down, is that cheating? Open it up to everybody on that first. Is it cheating to go down feeling a little bit of contact? Anybody?
No.
No.
No?
No.
So feel a little bit of contact. See, that's fine. I'm quite happy with that. I do think he should probably went down. But when you start looking into sport, it starts getting a bit rasher and rasher. We start looking at what rules that you can bend to help you. I'm not talking sort of as far back as Maradona's handy God, but there's times like World Cup a couple of years ago, you had Suarez playing for Uruguay, shot in the last 5 minutes of the game. He handled it to stop it going over the line, got sent off for it.
As
then
the missed the penalty.
saved the penalty. And they end up going through because of that. Is that cheating, or is that just using the rules to your advantage?
It's playing the numbers game the way.
But then the penalty could have been scored though, so.
Well, it could have, but It had
wasn't.
a chance of getting saved before, or it had a chance of thing, and he played that gamble. Was it cheating? Was it not cheating?
No, it's not cheating.
Not
he knew
cheating.
the risks of his decision. He broke the
And
rules
punished
of
for
the
it.
game, but he knew the consequences of that, and he got lucky in the sense that Ghana missed the penalty. But
Well, it's cheating in the
football-
sense that he actually like broke the rules.
Oh, he
Yeah,
intentionally
so-
broke the rules, but the rules
he
are
handled the
broken
ball
at
right.
times.
yeah,
He got punished for his cheating, though. You're saying that he cheated in terms of he handled the ball. He got punished for that with receiving a red card. But as a whole, in terms of Uruguay's kind of place in the tournament, got lucky with the penalty being saved.
But when I watch my teams play sport, I want them to do everything that is illegal to win the game. And if it's the last minute and they've got they're winning by a goal and they can do something to stop the other team scoring, I expect them to do that to win the game. I was like, we don't have to be all Plato about this. Let's be bloody Machiavellian and go out to win, regardless of the cost.
Well,
Oh, you go, Bob.
isn't there a thing in football where it's considered a professional foul? Isn't that
Yes.
isn't that sort of something that comes up quite a bit? Where the
Yes.
and I suppose the Suarez thing probably comes under that. It's a foul, yep. But is it considered a foul that sort of has to happen? And I'm positive. Didn't Scott Brown? Didn't Scott Brown do one in Dundee United?
The Celtic fan bringing up Rangers. Sorry, the Rangers fan bringing up Celtic.
Oh no, it's true. It's
I wouldn't even like him.
It's the only one that comes to mind. To be fair, in the group chat, Bruce has been all over it recently, so I thought I'd take over.
We've managed podcasts so far without mentioning the teams that James supports, and then suddenly, we're all over it. But anyway.
No, but yeah. So Scott Brown, I just happened to watch the game because it was a title decider. It was, and it turned out to be a title decider, so it was okay. But Scott Brown, he done it to Dundee. I don't even know who Dundee United guy was, but he lost the ball as Scott Brown always does, and he had to foul him. So it's that sort of professional foul thing, isn't it?
Aye, but is that acceptable?
Well, if you accept the punishment, he got cautioned for it. Yeah, it's not acceptable, but the punishment was handed out, so.
Because I see it.
Mm.
I see it when you're playing a game and the commentators say it quite a lot. It's a yellow card that you should have took. Basically, you've got yellow cards there for a reason. You take a yellow card to do it. Personally, you see it to the point of it's not quite taking the ball into a corner, taking the ball into the corner in the last couple of minutes of a game to waste time, kicking it off players and stuff. That is part of the game. That's what you're always going to get. The professional pit foul thing, if you've got a player, if you are a goal up in a game and you've got a player almost through on the goalkeeper, you're going to kick him and take him down before he gets into the box. Give the team a free kick, get sent off in the last couple of minutes, but you're stopping the opportunity to get a one-on-one with a goal. And I think that's just a part of football now.
Well, I think it comes
it's
into
part of football
tactics.
now. I think it's always been part of football.
So the next one I want to go into, now this is a well-documented one, Sergio Ramos. Now, Sergio Ramos is one of there's certain people who are just born winners. They have to win. They'll do anything they can to win. Now, in the Cup, the Champions League final against Liverpool, quite clearly elbowed the Liverpool goalkeeper in the head. Liverpool goalkeepers then went on to fumble 2 into the goals and they won. Also during that game, I think he dislocated Mo Salah's arm.
Yeah.
I mean, does that come down to the line to cheating?
But then does that was it unfair tackles or did he did he get reprimanded for it? No.
I think one of them, he got 1 yellow card for one of the tackles. I think on the goalkeeper. I don't think he got anything for the tackle on Salah. The Salah one was quite early in the game. I think it's a known thing in football. It's something that maybe doesn't happen as much now, but used to happen quite a lot when I was younger. Of a case, you let somebody know that you're in a game in the first couple of minutes of the game, first tackle right through them. Referee's not going to send you off in the first couple of minutes of the game.
See, that's mental.
And that has been.
No, I agree.
You see it in games, but
it's yeah. That did used to happen. You could probably get away with it the first 5-6 minutes. But but nowadays I'd like to think it doesn't happen. Even though I'm probably sure it does.
Well, Bob, from a referee's point of view, like you yourself being a qualified ref, and Bruce being a previously qualified ref, if you saw someone like Martin the size of him coming through and going to the ground in the first 5 minutes and taking out someone like, we say, Mitchell or Shahan, whose touch isn't the best, we might have got a wee bit away from them, and just flooring them, taking them clean out, would you see fit to deem it?
Can I quickly, before you answer that, can I give you a better example? Like whenever Gavin tackles my little brother.
Yes.
Yes. He's
every
walking
tackle.
every day of the week. He's walking.
I've sent somebody off 3 minutes in. So it does happen, and it probably should happen, but the time of the game isn't. I say
There's
it
no
isn't.
stipulation in the rules about time of the game.
It isn't relevant. It shouldn't be relevant. It's whether if you commit an act of serious foul play in the first minute or the 91st minute, it's a red card, regardless of where it is. But I know it doesn't happen. I know it never used to happen. And there's a lot of and a problem you get with refereeing as well is there's a lot of older referees that still are very. And you probably see them because I know that you're a coach, Martin. I know that Gav used to be a coach. I don't know about any of the rest of the guys, but you'll know if you get a younger referee who is quite ambitious and sort of trying to get up the ranks in refereeing, there'll be a lot more on it than the old school guys. And the old school guys tend to, they're like, oh well, it's his first one. Like his first one, that doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. But you'll know what I'm talking about. The older guys are very old school and they're very they're not as stringent as the ones that are trying to impress, really.
I think the older what you're talking about, the older referees, they actually they're more a care for the game. They like the tackle, they like sort of, and they want to give players a chance. They want the game to flow. Younger ones kind of get caught up in the rules a bit much, in my opinion, sometimes. But maybe I'm just feeling the wrong side of that.
I think it's the referee's job to get caught up in the rules.
Martin, then you've got the flip
What's
side
wrong
of that.
with a bad tackle once in a while?
Martin, you've got the flip side of that, and you've got the centre circle referees who never leave the centre circle like what Bruce was in his heyday.
Yeah, the centre circle heat map.
Do you know something? It's surprising what you can see for the centre circle. Do you know what I mean? It's surprising what you can see for there, especially when you've got a wee pair of 20/20 spectacles on. But Martin, what I was going to say was, so your team was playing at the weekend against Ross County.
Yes.
And Martin Boyle decided that he wanted a wee cuddle with the grass to try and get a penalty. And John Hughes said that the last time he saw a dive like that, the boy was wearing Speedos.
I love John Hughes.
What's your thoughts on Martin Boyle's dive to ground to get a penalty?
I will be completely honest in this, and if you look through the Hibs chats and stuff on social media, there's quite a lot of people condemning it and basically saying that they don't want that in their team. I don't know if it's Hibs is a weird one for me because there is an issue with a winning mentality that Hibs have lacked for a long time, where the fans want to see good football and they want to see honest play.
So why are they supporting Hibs then?
You see Celtic and Rangers, our boy go down the box to get a penalty, they're quite happy, whereas the Hibs fans are sort of a bit more against it. They want to win the right way. So yes, I would agree with the
just
fans.
Want to win.
I don't want
So
to
we
see
have
my team.
And I think so. It's interesting what you say about Rangers there, but then we had a boy go down the box after contact and got booked for simulation by the same referee that gave you guys a penalty.
Now, does that happen all the time when he goes down the box? Does he always get touched? Does he gain?
Not necessarily, but reputation shouldn't come into it. It should be the laws of the game. It should be, was there contact made? Yes, there was. Penalty. Reputation should have nothing to do with it. Martin, if you were playing a game and I was refereeing you, what you'd done the 2 games previously shouldn't have come into it. It should be how stupid and silly you are in the park on the day.
But yes or no, you're going to know if he's been sent off the 2 games ago and is the way he goes about in his tackles. If he's going to leave us, and you'll know that, and you'll know to look out for that.
Yeah, I think you're right, Gav.
I've actually been involved in games where the players have known the referee, and I think I was in goals, and the centre half had a ball coming across the box, and he's just cushioned it enough to go back to me, and I've picked it up. Now, any other team, it would never be a pass back because it would just been hit off him, and he hadn't intentionally passed it back to me. But the referee gave an indirect free kick because he knew the centre half and he knew how good he was, and he thought that he had intentionally passed it back to me, which he had. But but that's down to a perception you've got of a player because you took the player before and you know how good he is. You know the personality of the player before the game started. So I do think doing that with players, that is important.
I think it does happen, and it happens at all levels. Like even at the lowest level of football, like maybe not so much with players, but if you are at a level where you're doing kids football, you recognise coaches, and you know what coaches are a nightmare and what ones aren't. And then as you move up, where players start to become recognised, sort of junior football, maybe the higher levels amateur, when you see the team sheet, you can. If you're in the changing rooms with the assistants or whatever, you can start to tick off guys that you know are a nightmare. Like you recognise names, so you're like, he's a nightmare, that coach is a nightmare, and you start to know the guys that are going to cause you problems.
Like even as a spectator, you just know a certain player is going to probably end up receiving a yellow because of the way they play. Like Pepe was known for that. Like people used to put money on Pepe getting a yellow card or red card, or Sergio Ramos is sometimes known for that.
But I do think when you go along like it, and this keeps it back on the same subject where the players cheat and they know they cheat. And they know the limits of the referee. They know what they can do, what they can't do, because they're winners. And you get at all different levels of football. Just because you're a winner doesn't mean you're a great player.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to the point where I feel, I don't know if anyone agrees with this, the player that you hate in a different team, they're a winner. They're the ones that are trying today. They're maybe cheating bits and bobs, but it's because they're a winner and they're trying their best to do what they can to win the game, whether they're kicking the ball to play when nobody's looking, whether they're trying to do this, whether they're trying to do that. So what I want to ask, just to wrap everything up, are you happy for your team if your striker's going through the box at 0-0 in a game, 85th, 90th minute, and your player intentionally takes a dive to win a penalty in the last couple of minutes of a game to win the game? Are you happy with this? So I'll go through everybody. Bruce, are you happy for your team to cheat to win?
They already do.
Yeah.
No.
It was an easy answer. No?
No.
You want me a no? Oof. Bob?
Due to the fact that what I do at a weekend has been made obvious, absolutely not. However, check the group chat later.
Absolutely not. So
Sorry,
the two
Bob.
referees have said that they wouldn't want their players to cheat to score. Fair enough. Mitchell?
With the way Timo Werner's finishing is, yes.
Depends who's taking the penalty, if it's a definite goal or no.
If Jorginho on the pitch, yes. I think after that's Mount.
Yes, if the tackle coming onto them seems substantial, because sometimes people literally just go on a tap.
They've took a dive. It's a quite obvious dive. The replay shows it's a dive.
Yes,
but the referee's gave a penalty.
Yes.
Gavin?
I'm going to go with no. I don't
No?
think they should. No.
Fair enough. James?
No. And Bruce, that means you need to change your answer.
I would also agree. I am a football purist and I want my team to be playing the proper way, and if we're going to win games without opposition's fans sort of using the fact that we cheated against us. So I'm going to go no with that.
That at the weekend.
I'll take the 3 points, but I would have preferred them to at least got a touch or not go down with things like that. I'm sure it's something that will come out of this game.
Oh, certainly. I didn't see the Martin Boyle incident, but Hibs need to win, and they've not won in a few games now. So yeah, I can understand why he cheated. But yes, another thing that happened this weekend was the return of Formula One in terms of pre-season testing. I'm not an expert in this sport, so Gavin will sort out all the technicalities. So yes, I'll hand over to you, Gavin, and let us know what happens.
That makes it out as if I am an expert in it. So yeah, as you were saying, pre-season testing in Bahrain this weekend. A good weekend if you're a motorsport fan for that reason. Of course, the proper season doesn't start for another 2 weeks. I'm sure it's the 28th, I think, is the first race.
28 is the first race.
Yep. See, Shahan, keep me right all the time. But yeah, now pre-season testing, I think my biggest thing for wanting to speak to you guys about it is just kind of just get your opinions on it. Of a couple of new teams in this season in Alpine and Aston Martin, and a big shake-up in the driver lineups with a few promotions from Formula 2. But I think from pre-season testing, it came out as Verstappen being the fastest in this afternoon session today. And Perez, I think it was Perez that was the fastest in the morning session. So the two Red Bulls, after Hamilton said that they were going to be a different beast this season. I think my biggest question for you guys is if any of you got a chance to see anything from it and what your thoughts are on the testing so far from this weekend.
Yeah, so I seen a fair bit of it, and I did see Mercedes were struggling pretty much a full weekend. I think they probably had like maybe a day and a half of actual being on the track and testing the car properly, because half the time they were in the garage fixing things. And Red Bull genuinely looked like good contenders to actually take that position away from Mercedes being on the top spot.
So, as we all know,
oh, you go, Bruce.
So as we know, I'm a very big Williams fan. As of last week, when I decided to draw a team out of the hat to follow for the season, so I've drawn Williams, and I wasn't watching testing, but I was keeping an eye on the times and stuff, and I had noticed that good old Georgie boy had finished 9/10 of a second behind Lewis Hamilton on his fastest lap, and I think that's brilliant. I think I'm really excited to be following Williams this season, which, although I've not been following Formula One, I can tell from you guys' reactions when I suggested it that Williams wasn't quite the team to be kind of shouting about. However, since I became a really big LA Rams fan and a Williams fan, I'm going to get all the match. I'll be the biggest fan in the world. We'll be sorted. Let's go Williams.
I think Williams could be an interesting team to follow this year because they've been kind of bought over. I think it's been a shame to see the family leave the sport kind of as a figurehead, a name, but they're still going to be involved. I know that Claire Williams is still going to be involved in the background in the running of the team and the company, if you like. So I think it's a shame that they're not involved fully, but I think it could be a big year for them.
Yeah, and the testing, to be fair, they look brilliant. I don't think they had any kind of major issues or anything at all, which obviously team like Mercedes having issues and Williams not is brilliant.
Yeah, I had been reading the Williams website earlier on today, and they were saying that in terms of kind of consistency and nothing going wrong, as you say, Shahan, it was pretty seamless from start to finish over the 3 days. So it's always good. We like excitement.
I think that's a weird one, but the problem is with the testing, it doesn't show up too much. The teams will show you what they want to show you in a way. I Ken Hamilton spinned off at one point, but they kind of have to still find their point of what their maximum speed is and what they can actually do with it. I mean, there's only going to be 3 teams anywhere near it, in my opinion. It'll be Mercedes, McLaren, and what was the other one? Red Bull. Yeah. I can't see anybody else getting close to them. I mean, the McLaren one's going to be interesting. They've got the Mercedes engine now. Red Bull, I mean, Red Bull's on the Honda engine, and they seem to be solid on that. I mean, they're still pretty quick. I can't see anybody else coming near any of the 3 cars. I mean, Ferrari's a weird one because it was a weird one a couple of seasons ago where they had a behind the doors discussion with Ferrari about something, and then the next season their car went shite and nothing has ever came out about it, but they're still miles behind, and they will still get better. They'll be putting money in it and getting better. But I kind of see us getting past those 3 cars.
I mean, I think Sainz finished second this afternoon, didn't he? today.
Thereabouts, aye.
Yeah, so I think both, like, I think last season it was a lot to do with the driver lineup as well. I think Sebastian was like ready to leave and things like that, and Carlos Sainz just wanted to drive for a team like Ferrari.
I think Ferrari, like, they've said themselves that they're going to be 2 or 3 years before they actually start challenging again for the Constructors' Championship. But I do think they'll get 1 or 2 kind of podiums with the drivers, especially having Leclerc and Sainz as their lineup. That's a solid lineup, and it's also quite a young lineup going forward for the future. They're set.
Not to be a no shit Sherlock on you, Gavin, but most teams I think this season will be similar to last season because they're not going to change their cars because the regulations change next year, so all the cars are going to have to change.
I mean, a lot of them.
That was the big thing with Hag.
I was going to say everyone's made like some slight changes and things like that, but Haas has made literally no changes whatsoever. I think they've literally using the same cars as last year. So that's what they're saying. Exactly, and that's the reason everybody kind of knows they're going to probably finish last in it, but they are preparing for 2022 as we've heard in the full testing session.
Well,
and Aston Martin said, sorry.
No, you go.
I would say Aston Martin also said that they're looking for the next 4 or 5 years before the challenge. I reckon they will be a good team to kind of look onto and follow in this season, being a new team coming in. But I don't think anyone will be competing with the top 3 as Martin said this year, anyways.
We were saying about the regulation changes. Of course, they were meant to be implemented for this season. Initially, that's where the plan was, but because of COVID, like everything else, it put everything kind of back. So that's why it went back to next season. Obviously, saying about Haas, the only team who's kind of changed their lineup completely in the sense of there's 2 debutants in F1 with Mick Schumacher and Nicky Mazepin coming in. The 2 of the 3, which is I'm going to make sure I get this right, Tsunoda, who's at Alpha Tauri. He's been really impressive in testing so far. What do we think about the younger ones who are coming into the sport? And then if you want to go one step further, and you can say Alonso coming back and joining Alpine. He said he's not coming back just to make up numbers. He's wanting to challenge. But like, so the younger ones coming up, are they going to be able to challenge? And then Alonso coming back, has he still got it left in him to keep up with the ones who, like Verstappen, Leclerc, Sainz, who are up and coming and kind of taking over the sport?
I think when you look at it, who's it? Schumacher and that are racing towards it Haas, you said.
Yeah.
Well, Haas, as we said, they've not really changed their car, so I think they will be struggling. But when you look at the record in F2, other than obviously we'll gloss over Mazepin and all his issues because there's quite a number. But with Schumacher making that, he's got shades of his dad, and not the sort of shades that Shahan seems to think his dad gives off. But he looks like he
Let's
could be.
go there.
Touchy subject.
Yeah, but he looks like, especially in F2, which is far more competitive. I feel he was one of the strongest. So I think with Haas he might struggle a bit, but I think his talent, if he can finish and if he can score points at all this season, not by default, I think he'll be I think he'll show how good a driver he is, and I think he'll get a move very quickly. And you look at when you say someone like Alonso. Alonso's got that sort of legendary status. He's done racing around the world. I think he went for the Triple Crown. I don't think he got it. I'm sure he's done Indy 500, the Le Mans
Indy 500.
So done the Dakota 24 hour as well or something like that. So he's close. He's got the talent, and he's proven that he can apply it in different areas. So having him on your team, even if it's just even if he's driving, not doing much, having his input and his experience will be priceless to anyone, just the team and his teammate.
See, you say that, Mitchell, but like I've seen his kind of drive today, and it seemed faultless. Like he was like going out, pushing the car to the maximum. He was trying everything. I think it'd be a good contender this season as well.
I think testing's an odd one, because you can see it, and some of the time they're going, like, some of the guys are going around giving it everything, trying to push the car, but a majority of them are kind of just going out, getting a feel, trying to get the setup right for themselves as well. So it doesn't really give like a true reflection, as like with Hamilton, that if you have any sort of issue, you lose your time. I think coming to it was, but one of the teams, you got 3 days, and one of the teams gave their full day to their backup drivers. It was like,
Right.
how much do you really to testing if one I can't remember who it was. It might have been Williams actually.
It was Williams.
Williams.
Yeah, Latifi was out for quite a bit, and Russell didn't get out till day 3.
Because I think they went a full day with the backup, day with one driver, then a full day with another driver.
Mm-hmm. They might have been doing that, Mitchell, though, because like last season, George Russell got called up for Mercedes, so it's just that kind of thing. They might just be doing it for those purposes. But obviously,
what I was going to ask, obviously being a newbie to the world of following F1, because I've not followed F1 for a few years. So, Mitchell, to pick up on the point you were talking about, so likes of Verstappen, Hamilton, the top 3 teams that Martin was talking about. Do we think that the drivers for those teams were having their foot off the gas a little bit over testing, while other drivers of teams further down the rankings were kind of pushing as hard as they could go? Or so, for example, George Russell finished in terms of they put a kind of table up of the fastest lap. So George Russell's kind of sitting 6th down the list with quite a decent time, but he's only just sitting behind Hamilton. But Hamilton probably wasn't giving it all he could get because it was testing. Do you know what I mean?
I think testing is for just that. It's for testing, and no matter which way you look it up, is that people are using it. They're using it to test what they will need to know, the information they need to know for further down the line, so they can predict strategies and such. Like Sebastian Vettel for Aston Martin, he completed 56 laps today on a full fuel load, so they know that that's how long a full fuel load will last them, so that they can judge kind of roughly before the fuel gets consumed, before the car starts going faster. I can
almost promise you that in 2 weeks' time, when Mercedes actually come to the practices and actually eventually racing on Sunday, their car is going to be completely different to what they had testing. They would have actually ironed out all the issues, and it's going to be the fastest car on track. It's probably going to happen.
I've got a couple of questions. So, see the new setup that they're trying. So, obviously, is it the last to win or something? What's the new thing that they're trying? You've got the sprints that's happening, and then you've got the...
Oh, right. That's not similar to what the F2 does.
Yeah.
The F2 do the sprint races, yeah. And, well, I know that Ross Brawn was talking about bringing in a sprint qualifying, but I don't think that's going to be until further down the line at the moment.
Because I've got this thing with Formula One where I didn't watch it that much because some of the races are just boring. I mean, you get to places like Monaco where there's no lot of overtaking and things like that. I mean, they've talked about some of the discussion groups. They've talked about things like reverse gridding. And reverse gridding would be brilliant for Formula One, in my opinion. But they need to find a format that's going to be better for me.
Most people tend to watch like the first 5 laps. That's where the most action is in terms of crashes,
first corner.
Or the
last 5 laps where you get the jostle for positions. But like, just to finish up on this topic, my question to go around to everyone is: do you think that anyone can dethrone Mercedes or Hamilton? And if so, who do you think it is? And I think I'm going to start with the ones who probably don't know much about the topic, so haven't spoken much. So I'm going to go to James first. He admittedly said at the start he's not an expert. So do you think anyone can beat Mercedes?
Well, very quickly, I think I compared cricket to an unfolding canvas of art last week. I have to compare Formula One to modern art, unappealing, predictable, and messy. I'm not a fan of the sport at all. But taking your question, Gavin, I am going to say I think Force India might win, and I think Paul di Resta might dethrone Lewis Hamilton.
Good effort. Have you only came to that conclusion from our chat about the potential of this topic last week?
And no, I've known Paul di Resta for when he started his career. I don't know where he is now, but I think he's got some potential in him.
See, after this is all done with COVID and everything, we're going to get you down, a couple of tequilas in you, and we'll sit and watch a race, all of us, at least. Kind of convert.
Just the first 5 laps, and then
the full race. The full race.
Wait, after the first corner,
we should plan to go Silverstone.
Over to Bob. What
I'm
fine. Thanks. Going to happen this season, mate?
I think, and like James, I am not an F1 buff by any means. one of the like I said in the group chat, I do like cars, I suppose. So on that basis, I've picked McLaren because one of my favourite cars is McLaren F1. So we'll just go with that. But having listened to what's been said on this, and Shahan said something about when Mercedes come out for the first race, their car will be very different to what it is now. I think based on that, I'm going to say that I think they'll continue to. I don't think anybody will dethrone them. I think they'll continue to dominate, as I suppose they are. And although, I am going to pay a bit more attention to it this year and try and get to grips with what McLaren do, I suppose. But there we are.
Over to Martin.
I said the top three before, and I think the two will get closer to Mercedes, but I can't see them overtaking this year. I think everybody, this is just a gap year. It's turned into a gap year to get ready for next year because of the rule changes. So I can't see much changing for last year.
I'm going to Bruce, Formula One's newest and Williams' biggest fan.
Williams. Georgie Russell, come on down, my son. Take the podium, spray the champagne. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Mitchell.
Okay.
I'll applaud Bruce. That was the most concise answer yet. I'm going to go with, if anyone's going to do it, it'll be Red Bull and Max Verstappen. I think he's the best pure driver on the grid.
Now we'll go with Shahan.
As much as I hate Verstappen, I think it will be him. And I really do want McLaren and Ricciardo, who's my favourite driver, to do it. But I think it will be Verstappen and Red Bull.
Shahan, to back you up, Ricciardo's my favourite driver as well.
Yeah, and that's the reason McLaren will be my team this season.
I don't see them doing it this year. But I think like yourself, everyone's got a driver they hate. I hate Hamilton. I think he's done it for too long.
I only like Hamilton because he's British, and I tend to kind of follow and like the British drivers, especially George Russell. I think he's brilliant. So
I just think Hamilton's too cocky with it at the moment. But I would love to see him get dethroned. So by one of the drivers like Verstappen or Leclerc. I can't see Leclerc doing it in a Ferrari at the moment. I can't see him doing it in a Williams at the moment. Just to upset you. So I want to say that I think Red Bull could do it, and Verstappen will be the one to do it, if anyone.
Well, that's very good to know. I'll make sure I keep an eye on F1 this year. But one of the things I enjoy most about this podcast is having to make a link or a links between the conversation. Particularly making a fair way from one conversation to another. And I think I've hit a rough patch this evening.
Oh, no.
But here we're going to allow Martin to make a pitch for golf. So Martin, take it away.
Can we sack James?
Unfortunately, he controls editing and he's the one recording, so no. So Shahan did an excellent attempt at trying to get everybody to enjoy the finer parts of cricket.
No, he didn't.
So I want to do the same with golf. First of all, go around everybody. Does anybody either currently play or have played golf?
Yes.
Yes.
Does going to a driving range and trying to hit the ball count?
No.
That counts. I'm going for that.
Do you think you're Happy Gilmore, do you?
Ironically, that's the only way I can hit the ball.
Happy Gilmore.
That's the only way I can hit the ball off a tee if I try and do a Happy Gilmore.
In fact, when we're talking about golf, I do own a set of golf bats.
Bob's going to name drop someone here.
The only reason I own this is genuinely a true story. I got told by some entrepreneur that 75% of business deals are done in the golf course. So I bought golf clubs. I've never ever used them though.
See, that was actually going to be one of my points with golf. Golf is, I think it's a great sport for a lot of reasons. I've played golf with my father when I was young. My brother, me and my dad used to play golf. I've played golf with my son. I've played golf with my mates. I think I've skipped school once to play golf. And I think it is a sport that surprisingly a lot of people are into, but you can also get people of all different levels playing together. It's just some people get to hit more shots than others.
Martin, was that skipping school to play golf or skipping school to play with someone on the golf course?
It was actually play golf that time.
Martin can neither confirm nor deny.
I'll have to watch that. My sons are sort of one of the very few viewers that we have. And I think it's like Bob says, a lot of business is done on golf. It's a case of, why don't you come and play golf with us? And I think it's a great sport for all manner and all sort of levels of people. Is there anybody that doesn't like golf?
Yes.
Why don't you like golf, Shahan?
Because it's slow.
Not cricket.
It's slow, it's boring.
It's slow, like cricket.
It's slow, it's boring. And
but Shahan, you like cricket?
Cricket is not slow, cricket is not boring, and it's not expensive.
Boring.
It's not expensive.
Golf is exciting.
What about golf is exciting? Tell me about that. You literally hit a ball, right?
Yes.
And it goes and gets lost in a tree. Then you have to go and hit it again, and you're 3 shots down before you even know it.
He's just explained cricket.
Shahan,
We're talking about golf, not your.
We're not talking about. We're not talking about your inability to play foot golf, okay? Because that's a different conversation, and this is you airing your demons, and we're not doing that on air, okay? We're talking about golf.
It's the same principle with normal golf as well, with a 36-inch head.
I would agree that there's parts of golf that I'm not overly keen on. I am not a big fan of watching golf. Ryder Cup's completely different. Ryder Cup's a great format. I know Mitchell was talking before about watching some of the golf, and unless you're actually invested in it and can watch over the few days, I'm never too much into watching golf. You like watching golf, Mitchell?
It's like James in cricket. It's something that's on in the background.
Aye, and I can see that, and I won't argue with you about that. I can see that being a good point of golf.
But see, the thing about golf is, right, you have to be kind of good in it, like, to be able to play around and enjoy it. Like, a rookie can go there, literally hit the ball backwards, and he's not going to enjoy taking more shots to get to the ball.
I've got this thing with golf, right? Oh, you go, Bruce.
So, to take your point, I'm not very good. In fact, I would go as far to say as I'm pish, right, at golf. However,
that's been clipped.
I enjoy it.
I'm glad you added golf in there.
I enjoy it because, well, I enjoyed the socialising aspect of it, being out on the course with some friends, having a bit of a laugh. You know, you can't do that with some other sports like cricket, I would add.
Why can't you do that with cricket? And I completely agree with the point of being out there with your friends and things like that. But your friends start getting annoyed at you if you're not hitting a good shot, and they're just about to like go and put their ball, and you're still trying to find your ball in the woods in your first shot from your first shot.
And this isn't about
when it comes to defending.
I'm not talking about foot golf. I'm just generally saying.
When it comes to defending,
not everybody's out there to be like the world's best. You know, some people are quite happy just being out there and have enjoyed taking part in the sport.
Sorry, Bob, but eventually you'll get.
And that's not the case. That's not the case in any other sports either. You can just literally be out there and enjoy it with your friends.
Like, no, it wasn't anything constructive really. I was going to say it was like Shahan is the Emily Pankhurst of defending cricket. You are so militant that cricket is
better than golf.
It's better than golf.
I would neither say that golf is better than cricket or not, but I just don't think they're not. I'm just saying they're not on the same level. Golf is a boring sport. Cricket's not.
Back to Shahan's point, right? I've played golf and I'm not great at it. I think somewhere in the 80s is a great score for me. But I can remember sort of hitting around the hundreds, sort of late 90s. and you can hit bad shots after bad shot after bad shot and 3 or 4 bad holes. To me, you just need to hit one shot over the course of the 18 holes. Hitting one good shot is enough for you to enjoy that one shot to make you go back again. And that's all it takes within 100 shots, one of them just hitting the sweet shot and then allowing you to have the hope of going back again.
I'm going to bring this back to cricket. One good ball, one good catch, one good shot could make you like excited for the game as well, though. How does that differ from cricket?
We put cricket to bed last week when it didn't make sense.
Yes, but your point was that it was boring. I'm just defending my point from last week.
Even watching golf on telly, you had Sergio Garcia 3 or 4 years ago had to play the ball out of a tree. You had shots. You had, was it Phil Mickelson? He hit a shot and it went wide and it hit the path and it just kept bouncing and bouncing on this path and rolling down like an episode in like a bit in a tin cup. Great film.
Shooter McGavin had to play it off the big guy's foot on that one.
Exactly, the big guy with the nail in his head.
The only thing I would say was like exciting to me. What's actually point of me being on this?
If
I'm not allowed to defend myself, then there's no point.
That short period is the most sense I've heard Shahan speak on this podcast.
Shahan, on you go, mate.
I don't even get a decent introduction. So what's the point of me being on this podcast? I'll just say cricket's the worst sport in the world. Golf is the best sport in the world. That's it. My point's done. Thank you.
Right, back to golf. Right, this is one thing I do like about it. Right, now I don't know if this is strictly true, but from the small amount that I've watched, it maybe what I like about golf is unlike football, unlike F1, certainly F1, and I don't know enough about cricket to say whether it is or it isn't, but I think that you can get to the highest levels in golf based on you and if you are good enough. Whereas with football, we all know people that have played amateur level or junior level that you watch and like he could have been some player, but he was just never lucky enough to be seen. And I'd imagine F1's the same. You could be a great driver on the sort of go-kart circuit, but you've just never been spotted. But from what I know about golf is you can go from being how far you go in the sport is entirely on you. And how good you are, because you can enter these competitions and your performance will take you to the top or it will leave you at the bottom. Whereas with football, like I was saying, we all know junior players and amateur players that were incredible that just were never in the right place at the right time. And that's what I like about golf, I suppose.
That's an interesting point because, you know, me myself, I've got more chance of being a Rory McIlroy than a Cristiano Ronaldo, as we all know. So, no, I make an interesting point because it's not as if I'm going to run for miles and miles and miles, but I'm pretty sure that with some training and some practice, I could probably swing a club at a ball and get at a decent distance.
Who was the goalkeeper for Sutton United that ate the pie on the bench?
Oh, that's me. That was me.
More chance of emulating him than anyone else in sport in the world.
Excuse me.
To kind of go to what Martin was saying, the Ryder Cup, in terms of watching golf on TV, I love watching the Ryder Cup. That's because it is the whole team format, and it's being a guy who likes team sports, you kind of rely on everyone else, but at the same time, it's the individuals in that team, and it's a bit of competition as well, which makes it a bit, rather than being individuals competing for a trophy, it's a kind of the bed. You focus on the different ties and rather than just the pairings or whatever in a normal competition. To kind of take it from what Shahan was saying, and when he said about us playing foot golf is similar to golf, and we used to about one shot can make your day. That's like that one shot I did in that hole where it went through the trees and pulling second shot in the hole. No one thought I would be able to do it, but it happened. I enjoyed myself. I would love to go and play golf more. I don't currently have the equipment. However, it's more for the social side, like what this was saying, and the pint at the end of it, or the 2 pints, the 5 pints, and the 10 pints, and Martin's on the floor, that you're kind of looking forward to.
I suppose as well, actually, the accessibility of golf. I made a point about it being down to your own ability. There is a bit of, much like F1, I'd imagine, you do need a bit of financial sort of weight because my granddad, he is a member. Is it the Royal and Ancient or the Old and Ancient in St Andrews? And he that is not an inexpensive hobby at all.
Well,
and I think
I would say that
you need a bit of
I would
finance.
say that it changed. I'd say that it changed. I mean, you can go and you can buy a £3,000 set of golf clubs ergonomically suited to yourself with the proper grips and whatever tailor made for you, or you can go and buy a set of Donny clubs for Sports Direct for 150 quid.
Other sports shops are available.
And I think that it's the same with golf courses. Yes, it's great to play courses like St Andrews, but most of my time has been playing council courses in Edinburgh, Craigentinney or Portobello or places like that. Or what I used to do is during the summer, when I was anything between 10 and 13, 14, me and my mates would go to a golf course, wait till 6, 7 o'clock hit, and then jump on the golf course during the summer and just play on a couple of good courses actually until it got too dark to play. And it's a very inclusive sport when it comes to things like that, and you don't have to spend as much as everybody makes out to spend. But obviously, some of the courses you get what you pay for.
So
Martin, I'm going to make a proposition. I'm going to interrupt Bruce because Bruce has been interrupting people, so I'm going to interrupt him. Right? Love you. So I'm going to make a proposition here for everyone. Golf courses are opening back up soon. Yeah.
God,
£10 in the pot, 20 quid in the pot. We all go play a round of golf. Winner takes the lot. Person who comes in last buys the first round whenever the pubs open up again. So for Mitchell, he's going to have a fucking hefty bar tab at the end of all this.
I was just going to say, we all know Martin's
who
probably
would be
going
up
to
for
win it.
that?
Yeah, but I've got my own golf bats, so that should be alright, I think.
So Gareth, what you're saying is, what the usual proposition with it is, and I would add this on for us doing this, is having a couple of the holes that are longest drive, a couple of the holes that are closest to the pin, and we can split up amongst and not just be so that you've got a chance of winning something just with one good shot as opposed to the whole course. So have a prize.
Can we do one hole? Can we do one hole with a cricket bat so Shahan doesn't feel left out?
Yes. And if you've ever seen the film Tin Cup, which is Kevin Costner, he plays around with like brushes and baseball bats and stuff. So yes, he can bring a cricket bat, and we will go for that.
Just because he looks severely pissed off at the moment, I don't want to upset him.
Martin, what I was going to say was, so the loser buys around after Gav's bought around for missing podcast, Bob's bought around for missing podcast, Shahan's bought around because Rangers will get to the next round of the Europa League, and you and whoever buy a round for us for mucking up the coupon, being one, then the loser can buy a round.
Can I just say there was never anything said about missing an episode for a.
It was last week
for a wedding that we're all going to get pissed. Well, I wasn't here last week.
It was last week.
I can't be deemed because I've not missed any since last week.
Before we go into an argument about terms and conditions of having to paint or buy rums of pints, I think we should stay on the topic of golf.
What I was going to add was, when Martin talking about this being an inclusive sport, so I have never owned an expensive set of golf clubs. My golf clubs that I played with most recently, which was a number of years ago, was an inherited set of proper wood golf clubs that were my dad's. So, yeah, there was no expense for me to go out and play golf apart from the cost of playing on a golf club golf course now and again.
It's surprising how cheap the driving ranges used to be as well. They've changed the driving ranges quite a lot with they've got a lot of the computer stuff in it now. So instead of looking and trying to figure out how far past that 300 sign that you've got your ball, obviously everybody hits it past the 300 side, you see how far past you've got it. It's got on the screen. It tells you exactly the distance. It comes up with a 360-yard shot that you just hit.
The thing about us all going on the golf.
Broken.
The thing about us all going on the golf course, which I'd be up for. I think that'd be a good laugh. Yo, and I'm probably going to be this one person. whenever you go and do a group sport, and certainly if it's a new group sport, you always get that one guy that falls under the criteria of all the gear and no idea. And the golf clubs I inherited are, now I don't know much about the brand, but I believe it's a pretty good brand, are tailor-made ones from my granddad.
Yeah.
So I don't know how good or bad they are, but I hope I can do them justice, and I don't think I'll be able to.
I can tell you the story how I got my set of golf clubs. I had my set of golf clubs in the cupboard with my brother's set of golf clubs. My brother was a member at a decent course for a while. So he was selling his golf clubs for like 30 quid. So my cheap Ben Sears ones that I think I got for nothing are sitting in the cupboard with his set of Hippo ones that are quite expensive. So the guy comes up to buy his Hippo ones for 30 quid, looks at the two sets and thinks, nah, it can't be the expensive ones, it must be the cheap ones, and took my set of golf clubs. And I ended up with my big brother's set of Hippos, so I was quite happy with the deal. That done me fine. It's the only reason I've still got them, actually. But so is everybody up for having a round of golf and a bit more when social distancing is out the window a little bit?
Yeah.
If I can source golf clubs, yes.
Yeah, we'll all just borrow bobs and sanitize them between shots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But golf courses are opening, if not open already, are opening soon.
Yeah.
And I know there's some in operation because there's 4 boys at my work who are avid golfers and they say they really enjoy themselves. I would love to get into it more because, like Bruce said, dad, granddad, like what obviously Bob and Martin said, family play it and they kind of take you out now and again. So I would love to get back into it, but it's finding the time. Bob said earlier on, finding the money. But I would love to, it's like socialising, get out and see each other again.
Yeah.
We'll take Shahan and we'll go cricketing as well.
I think that sounds good. A day of cricket, a day of golf. I know which one I'll have more fun in, but
then just to convert the other ones, we'll take a good day of go-kart and it's Formula 1 equivalent.
Yeah, there you go. We'll do like a wee TV show, videos of our enjoying the sport, and that could be special episodes of the Sports Hub podcast. But yes, finish the episode, and we're going to just do our traditional round table. And this week it is based on an article that was in The Guardian this week about how Dundee United has become a term of insult in Nigeria. Yeah, I was so tempted in the golf conversation to say, shut it, you Dundee United to Shahan. But I don't know what the terminology actually means. But
idiot.
Does it idiot?
Idiot, yeah.
Idiot.
You should have said it.
So yes,
So shut it, you Dundee United, and let's go around everyone.
Yeah, so going around the group, I'll start with Shahan. What's your best sports-related insult?
Sports-related insult. That is cricket's the worst sport ever. Thank you.
Bruce?
So I didn't really have an idea, so I googled football-related insults because I was interested to read what I could come up with. So I found this one, and I couldn't decide. It was about Sir Alex Ferguson. He was talking about Alan Wiley, the referee, but then I thought, has he seen Bob referee? Because after the game, he was then talking about the referee wasn't fit enough. The game demanded a referee who was fit. He's not fit. You see referees abroad who are as fit as butchers' dogs. He was taking 30 seconds to book a player, then having a rest. Ridiculous.
I'd just like to point out my last observation was 8.9, and I'm now Cat 5 development, which is
well done,
preparing for the fitness and going that way.
Was that your best sport-related insult, Bob?
Probably worse than a man down. I've heard that a few times. But
yeah, Gavin.
Because I played left back when I played, my favourite one was left back in the changing rooms. However, I did touch on my other one in this one, which was who ate all the pies, which is obviously Bruce. So
obviously, and with great talent.
I have heard as well. I've heard another. It's not really an insult. Oh, it's an insult, but it's not an insult to anybody.
Is it you're a Rangers fan?
Yeah, that. But and it wasn't me. I can't claim to be in this position, but you see it on the. It gets spoken about quite a lot on Rangers forums, and it was, I don't know, it was many years ago, when Rangers were playing AC. Yeah, when Rangers were playing AC Milan at Ibrox, the same Rangers that happen to play at Ibrox now, for anybody who's wanting to know. And AC Milan, I'm sure they had players, the classic AC Milan team on, like Kaká.
We're going to get to the point, like, folks, stay with it.
Kaká, Beckham, etc. And one of the guys who goes about these forums said that a guy behind him stood up and screamed, "Come on, Rangers, into this shite." Now, this is an AC Milan team littered with some of the greatest players in the world. It was far from terrible, but I suppose that's a bit of an insult, I'd imagine. But yeah, but worse than a man down is probably the best one I've heard.
Mitchell?
Bob and Gavin both stole my once. Worse left back in the change, because I've played hockey. I'm left and right back. I get the left back in the change room every so often, and also worse than being a man down. Again, I've heard that said many a time. Not about me, surprisingly.
Martin?
See, the thing about insults at football pitches, they're always for somebody in the terracing, and there's always from somebody a couple of rows back for you. You never see their face. And some of the best ones, I can remember a guy shouting to a player about to take a throw in, saying, I can't remember the boy's name, You're shite. You're not even good enough to heckle. That's not heckle. There was an older, a couple of ex-Hearts ones, and it was in the paper that one of the Hearts players, his wife had been sleeping about. So obviously the crowd started singing, "Shagged by a hippie. Your wife was shagged by a hippie." That was brilliant. There's one with, I've got too many of these. Last one, I promise. There's one with Stevie Fulton. Now, Stevie Fulton is an extremely lovely looking person, and the Hibs fans were singing to him, "So fucking ugly, you are so fucking ugly." So Stevie Fulton's then turned around and blew a kiss towards the Hibs fans. Referee saw this and booked him. To which the Hibs fans started singing, "Booked for being ugly. You are booked for being ugly." And that's my favourite one. That's but yeah, there's hundreds.
Yeah, it is appropriate that you mentioned about insults from the terraces. I don't know if it's a sports-related insult, but it's one that I always get at Celtic Park, and it is exactly that. So I take it as a sports-related insult, but there you go. Well, thanks for watching this week's episode of the Sports Hub podcast. Please follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and comment on all the topics covered and let us know your thoughts, and make sure to tune in next week at the same time for the episode. Thanks for watching.